Hello and welcome. This is our first live show. I'm David Bell and I'm joined here today in our virtual studio, Mr. Nick Looby.
Hello, everybody. Very, very excited to be here. The countdown is finished and we are now live to the nation.
Now, Nick, this has been a long time coming. We've put lots of effort in behind the scenes. We've played around with software platforms. We've gone out there and we've found the best guest stars to join us on the show, not just today, but over the coming weeks and months, because we will be here every Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. UK GMT time. But we are streaming not only around the UK, not only around Europe, around the world, and possibly, maybe if we're lucky, we could be hitting the International Space Station as well.
Fantastic, and give them something to really think about. And you're absolutely right, David. So the whole focus of the weekly show is around enterprise and entrepreneurship. So we want conversations that spark ideas for young businesses, new businesses, those people that are considering a business, or those people that find themselves maybe at a business crossroad. So ideally, we'll just invite the sharpest business minds onto the show to have very, very deep and interesting conversations about all things that are going on right now and will make a difference to all of our businesses going forward.
Absolutely. And what we've got lined up for you today is an exciting show. For our first launch show, we've got two great guests. I'm not going to spoil it just yet. You can read it in the chat box, of course, I know. But we're going to bring them on and we're going to introduce you and find out a little bit more about their business. You know, how they started, what they do, some top tips, anything that's going to be good golden nugget takeaways. But what we also want to do is we want to encourage you guys out there listening to this. So we're streaming live on YouTube, we're streaming live on Facebook, and we want to encourage you to pop your questions into the chat box as well, and we'll put them to our guests. And if you've got any other questions that Nick and I can answer for you, then pop them in. And we'd love you to challenge us if you can. Keep it clean. This is a daytime show. We might come up with a after 9 o'clock watershed one in the future, but for now, kind of keep it cleaner. Well, just a little bit anyway.
Yeah, cleanish kind of works. So yeah, the more interactive it gets, the more kind of exciting it gets, and it's live, right? So anything can happen. Okay, who knows what the comments will be? Who knows what the guests will say? Who knows what we'll end up saying? So as clean as we can, but the beauty of it being live, who knows what happens? So David, introduce yourself, mate. Who are you? What brought you to this point?
Well, good question. Hopefully there's people out there that know me, and my journey started at a young age, tender age, 17 years old, decided to go into the big wide world. I didn't go on to further education, higher education. It was time to explore, and I set up my first business in tech, an IT company, B2B, supplying technology solutions. And I worked with that, my business partner, over the next 20 years. We developed into an international wireless provider, providing solutions for big blue chip organizations and local companies as well. And 2014, I decided to exit that business and focus pretty much what I do today, which is a company called Symbok. And Symbok is to help startup businesses, newly formed organizations, to help them on their journey, where you are today, where you want to get to, and how you're going to get there. And more excitingly, I love tech. And what I want to do is integrate tech into these businesses to automate and systemize processes on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of a summary in a nutshell. That's me, that's David. What about you, Nick?
You are the tech guy, mate, and I am the communication guy. Okay, so I'm a communication consultant and trainer, run a training company and an events business, and I'm a big believer in human-first communication. Okay, it took me years and years to really decide what I wanted to do. And it turns out what I really want to do is help people communicate better than they ever thought possible. And I'm proud to call myself a modern zombie slayer. So I'm sure during these shows we'll have lots of interesting conversations about tech, right? How good it is, and also some of the hazards that could trip us up as well if we rely too much on our technology. So there'll be a kind of a tech human battle, no doubt, throughout all of these shows. And talking of tech, right? One of the questions that people were asking before the show launched was first of all, why on earth are you risking doing it live?
Oh yeah, I thought that as well, and here we are doing it. Well, both of us like to talk, and I think our audience will gather that over over the weeks and months, and we like to share, and we like to put back, and pay in advance and stuff like that. But for us, Nick, it's about living on the edge, fly by the seat of your pants moments, isn't it? If it's recorded and you do something wrong, you can go in and scrub it out and start all over again. When it's live, hey, what we say, what we do is being broadcast globally. It's being recorded. People are already commenting in the chat box. Thank you for the comments from Innovation Centre Colchester and Jim Lobaz. I think that says, looking good, guys. All the best. Thank you for your kind comments, and keep commenting as well. But this is the whole fun of it. We want the interaction. That was the other thing about being live. We wanted the people to put things in the chat box, ask questions. And of course, over time, we will get more followers. We'll build a greater audience. We'll have more great people on the show. It's going to be one hell of a ride.
This is the future, right? Live is where it's at. And thank you very much, Innovation Centre Colchester and Jim Bob Lubaz. We are looking good. Thank you very much. And got to say hello to my mum, because she said she was watching. Dad's going to be watching as well. Way to go to put more pressure on. Fortunately, we spend a lot of time, or certainly used to, speaking from stage, right? And if you're anything like me, the most exciting parts when you've got a large live audience is when the banter starts, when you can start to kind of interact with the audience. So the more interactions we get, the better it will be. One of the other popular questions, David, is how do I get onto the show? Good
question. We want people to sign up and come on here. We don't want, we do want the big and the famous and, the well recognized, but we want to hear from the normal today people, the people that are smashing it in their own right, the people that are facing challenges and creating huge successes. We want to hear your stories. So how can you join? Well, firstly, you can start putting your comments in the chat box, and that will connect with us. But you can also drop us an email or visit the website, and you can get in touch in many different ways. But the first way is, I'm going to pop it up on the screen. You can email us, hello@uni.co.uk. Pop an email. Nick and I will see it. If you're teasing our taste buds, we'll fire back a form to you. We'll ask you to do a quick, form, who you are, what you do, what you'd like to talk about. And of course, if you're lucky enough, which it will be, we'll invite you onto the show at some point in the future. And that's probably the easiest way to get in touch with us today. We will have an automatic form on the website shortly, but of course, we're in early pilot stages, so we're finding our feet as well a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be a learning curve, just like business, right? Constantly learning. Every day is a school day, and that process has already sparked some really interesting conversations, which really kind of lends itself to me. If we did nothing else, right, apart from have conversations with great business owners, I would be absolutely delighted. But who knows where things progress in the future? And there's going to be some regular features on the shows. We're going to talk about what's kind of important for businesses right now, what's in the news, and it's only fair, David, because you are the tech guru, that we have a bit of a focus on technology. What's hot, right? What are people doing? And I'm sure when our first guest comes on, that tech conversation will really kind of explode.
Absolutely. So yeah, Tech Talk, what's hot, what's in the news, what's trending now. These are going to be features we're going to pick up on a regular basis. And of course, we're going to play and try new things as well and make it exciting and make it more engaging. But one last thing before we get around to the point, our guest is sitting in the green room, Nick. He's ready and roaring to go. I can see him smiling away at me now. So we don't want to hold him up too much longer. But we are looking for anybody that wants to be part of this show and be like a sponsor. We're not asking for big money. This is not about money for us. This is about entertainment value and, putting something back. So if you're thinking about being a sponsor, then get in touch as well. Use that email address, hello@uni.co.uk. And it's that point, Nick, I think we're going to have to say thank you to one of our sponsors. So let's say thank you, and then let's get our guest on the show. So thank you to in the feet on the ground. We need you. You're part to make this possible. And if you want to be part of the show going forwards, then please let us know. Anyway, let's get that drum rolling. Our first guest, star on our first ever show is, well, someone I've met virtually, only virtually. Never had the pleasure of actually having that conversation face to face with a coffee or a beer. But then nevertheless, let's introduce Mike Hennan. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thank you for the introduction. That was a really explosive start to the show, wasn't it?
Well, we like to do things big and grand. We tried to book, models and, Steve, Wozniak and stuff like that, but they were just all so busy. So, yeah,
you got me instead.
Only.
We got the great Mike Hennan to kick things off. How you doing, Mike? You good?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good. Thanks. I really enjoyed the going live music. I was about having a bit of a bop behind stage.
It was good, wasn't it? It was good.
You do want to see behind the scenes while that music was bopping along.
I was bopping away. It was good. Yeah.
Excellent.
We will come on to it actually, but I got the idea. I think it was the night before last. I tuned in. I paid for a ticket to watch Red Bull Racing do a live stream, a video stream, and they had lots of people tuning in, and Christian Horner and Max Verstappen, and it was a chat show. Simon Lazenby was the host. It was great, and they did a similar thing. They just had flashy cars whizzing around the track as well at the beginning, and really good music. And I thought that looks good. We're going to do the same. It's not quite, but we're getting there. Next week it'll get a little bit better. Same music, a bit more interaction. So anyway, Mike, thank you so much for joining us on the show. A pleasure to have you here. Let's find out a little bit more about Mike. Mike, you're a business owner. I know it's relatively new, an exciting start for you, but you did start your business kind of leading into, pre-pandemic times, COVID. But tell us a little bit more about your business and why did you set up in business and go it alone?
Of course, yeah. So I went full-time on the business at the end of 2019. So my first full year was the pandemic. So I can't quite claim that I am a COVID business because it was just before, but obviously it's been interesting. But if you going further back, my actual background is engineering. So I did a bachelor's degree at Loughborough University in product design engineering. So a bit of a mix between mechanical and manufacturing. And then spent a couple of years at a automotive supplier in Chelmsford as a mechanical engineer, doing bits and bobs for like Ford and Jaguar Land Rover. That was quite cool, but just never really clicked for me. Like I was like, I can't imagine doing this for the next 30 odd years. So I ended up leaving that, and I ended up joining the family business, which is air compressors and water pumps. It's kind of loosely engineering related, but obviously more on a sales and being a small business, very much probably a really good training ground for sort of owning my own business is having that family experience where there's everyone, you're wearing multiple hats. I'm the receptionist, I'm also the accounts person, all the hats. That was probably good training. And then again, I was like, after a couple of years, I can't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. And obviously, when you first join the family business, that's kind of the intention, isn't it? Like you kind of join with the intention of taking it over and taking it to the next heights. Whatever. But I was like, I just can't imagine myself doing that. I can't imagine myself being my dad in X number of years. So I spent a little bit of time to try and figure out what I really wanted to do, because by this point, everyone's like, my friends and stuff are well established in their careers and stuff, and I'm like, not really sure what I'm doing, and there's that a little bit of panic, isn't there? So sometimes you take some jobs that you probably shouldn't have done.
Do tell. We're interested.
We've all done jobs we should never have gone anywhere near. Yeah.
So I took we use Xero. So you're aware of Xero, the cloud accounting package. So we used an add-on for that to do a certain feature. And so when I was looking for things to do next, I actually reached out to the owner of that particular business and said, look, I love your product. Think it's really good. Let's have a chat. And to be honest, within a few weeks, he offered me a job, which was pretty impressive. And I have to admit, I joined, and I think within like a week or 2 weeks, I was like, this was like the wrong decision for me. So whereas in the past, and it was hard.
The thing is, on this show, Nick will nod at this. You can name and shame, by the way. You can tell us who it is if you wish to. Of course, if you want to keep it a secret, that's absolutely fine.
No, I wouldn't name and shame. I don't think it was. It wasn't necessarily the company. I think it was just more. It's more a personal thing.
Yeah.
So I I quickly realized I was in the wrong position, but I didn't want to like waste another 2 years or so, like what I'd done before. So I literally waited for that first paycheck and then went straight in. So I was on the train into London, got that into my bank account, and walked straight over to the boss and said, "Can we have a chat?" And I was like, "I'm off." So really hard. It's a really hard thing to say because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing next. But sometimes you just have to go with your gut.
Yeah.
And so that started a bit of a weird process, but basically it turns out I'm really interested in marketing. But I wasn't quite ready to start my own business, so I ended up getting an internship at a marketing agency in London. And the idea was to learn more about PPC, so sort of paid search, also organic search, SEO and stuff. But just as I guess I was applying for that, I had started making websites on the side. So I did take that job knowing that I would be doing my own thing at some point. I think it does run in the family. It's obviously family business. My granddad started that business. My other granddad had his own business. My uncles have their own businesses. It's kind of like ingrained in the family.
In the DNA, it's ingrained. Yeah,
exactly. So that I would never have called it entrepreneurial, but I guess there is that entrepreneurial spirit in the family somewhere. So at the end, I learned what I could at the agency. But this might interest you. It was because we were doing paid search, so like Google ads. What was really frustrating for me was that we were sending traffic, and obviously these are big clients. We're sending like lots of traffic to like websites that were pretty rubbish, or in my eyes just wouldn't convert that traffic into customers. And because they're so big, like big companies, they might listen to your advice, but they probably never do anything about it. So it was really like disheartening to like have those ideas and just not get listened to. So I kind of got to a point towards the end of 2019 where I was like, right, enough. I'm going to do my own thing. At the time I didn't have a mortgage or anything like that, so I was like, right, let's just give it a go and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? I can always get a job if it doesn't work out.
Before you tell us what your current business is, Mike, there's a few lessons, right, for us all here. Okay, that family business, great start. Okay, because it gives you permission to have a go. Okay, and learn from other people that aren't afraid of having a go. Okay, and you've clearly got something going on inside your head that recognizes at an early stage whatever this isn't right for me. And you hear it a lot in business, right? Fail fast. Okay, some people agree with that, some people don't. But getting rid of the stuff that doesn't serve you, a really healthy attitude in business, and that goes hand in hand with that idea: go with your gut. Okay, there'll be a lot of people listening or watching who are contemplating. Well, now is now the right time to start a business? Should I start? And they'll be almost fighting that gut instinct. So when you tell us about the current role, right, your company, please feel free to expand on why your gut said this is the way forward.
Before you have fans out there. They're already putting into the chat box, and Darren's put, "Hi, Mike." So Mike. Hi, Darren. Yeah. So we've got people out there who are cheering and roaring for you. So thank you, Darren, for that in the comment box. If you want to be showcased on here, keep your comments coming in. Ask Mike your questions. Ask Nick and myself as well. So, Mike, the current business, you then left. And what happened?
So I left, and to be honest, the real reason for me was obviously back when you actually commuted into the office, and actually, especially the office was literally on Leicester Square, so I could actually see the premieres from my desk. So in terms of location and stuff and excitingness, it was pretty cool. But I was spending like 3 hours a day commuting, so that's a killer. And obviously, I was trying to build this like website agency on the side, and so it was like back in the day when you had to commute, had to work your full-time job, had to like balance your social life, and then try and build this like side business on the side. Was just like I was like, I'm never going to get anywhere with this. I'm doing a job that I like the people, and it's an interesting job, but I don't like the job, and I cannot see myself doing this the rest of my life. that thing that I really want to be doing is there sort of waiting, like, but I just need to go for it. So I did actually speak to a career coach, because again, it's like sometimes you just need to bounce ideas off with someone who's not biased. So obviously when you talk to family and stuff, they're like, "I'll just stick with it," or I got a lot of "Oh, you just don't like working" remarks from certain family members. And I'm like, that's not it. I just if I don't feel fulfilled in the work that I do, and that it's a bit soul destroying, really. Like, 'cause it's, you spend a lot of time working, so I'd rather do something that I enjoy doing. So basically, I had this call with a career coach. I had spoken to her before, but literally she was like, "So what's holding you back?" I was like, "Well, it's just me, isn't it? Like, that's it. Like, just me." So I was like, "Right." Next day, I handed my notice in. With just went for it, and my boss was she's a really good friend now, but my boss was like, "What?" That's a bit of a surprise. So I did that, and then it's kind of, because for me it was like, yes, I could do it on the side, and it might take several years to build up, but if I jump headfirst into it full time, I'm going to learn faster. I'm going to get to where I want to go faster. So I can kind of demonstrate that in that year. I've gone from, so just to recap, I started a website agency. Although at the start, I probably tried to push other services as well. So like PPC, SEO, kind of offer everything to anyone, because that's how most agencies start. I guess it's like, right, we can do marketing, but marketing is such a big topic. So I've basically used the last year to sort of hone in on what I want to do. So rather than just saying all marketing, it's mainly websites. At least once you get the website done, then I feel a bit more confident about spending money on PPC and the other channels that sort of feed into your website. And then another thing that I've, as a marketer, I know that niching down and really knowing your target audience is fundamental to your success. But kind of not only been in, only been in business for a year or so, and not really having like a massive back catalogue of clients. I couldn't confidently say, right, I've worked with 10 accountants, therefore I should work with accountants, or that kind of thing. So I basically decided that rather than waiting another 3 years or so to figure that one out, I was like, right, I'm just going to.
What's wrong with accountants? They're lovely. They're lovely people. Just I picked that one out.
I think accountants are great, and my accountant Sharon is brilliant. So no, I think it's account, but just, I guess because I hadn't worked with any accountants, so I don't know why I gave that as an example, but I hadn't worked with any. So basically what I did was I thought about who I'd worked with over 12 months, and I basically only had a few criteria. I was like, did I enjoy working with them? Do I find the industry interesting? Were they, fun to work with? And also, like, in general, can that industry afford the services I want to offer? And that's kind of where I ended up on dentistry. So my favorite client to date has been a dentist, and dentistry kind of ticks those boxes.
So this is your niche formula, right, Mike? Which another massive lesson, okay? And I totally agree. It took me years to find my niche. I wanted to do everything for everybody. Right? Oh yeah, shit, I can do that. And then it simply wasn't good for long-term business. So for you, it was got to enjoy it, right? The company's got to be fun to work with, an industry that is interesting, and they need to be able to afford the service. Fun, afford the service, interesting industry, and you will enjoy it. Right? I think if everybody looked at their business and say, can I tick all those boxes? If any of those boxes are unticked, then I think there's probably a hole to be filled in your business.
Yeah. I guess, and obviously, like, just like most business things, they've obviously got to have like a need for it, or a problem to solve, on the real fundamental basic. But yeah, so for me, it was like, as long as it ticks those boxes, like, I can always pivot. That's a good word, isn't it, this year, pivot. But it was more like, right, I need to focus my efforts on one target audience, see how that goes, and if it doesn't work out, I can change. But just staying general, I don't think it's going to be good for me long term. Yeah. So that was good. But yeah, so I guess now I've kind of found my target audience. It's just that, you know, I've got different challenges now. Like, so how do I reach them? Like, how do I, because I was talking to a group of people this morning, and it was, you know, I was saying, like, you know, most of us, I know David through networking. All dentists don't network. So, you know, how do you actually get to them? How do you actually show that you can help them? You know, they're not available during normal business hours. They are with patients in their surgeries, helping them. Like, they haven't got time for a call with a marketer or that. So obviously, you know, dentist receptionists, very good gatekeepers. Like, they really do know how to stop people getting to the practice owner, which is interesting. So I've got different challenges now, but at least I know what they are. So whereas before I was like, I don't know who to target or who to go for, who to talk to in a room. I now know, you know, how to get, or who I need to get to, or you know, just, yeah. So it's been interesting, and I'd only say I've really been doing the dentistry side of things for like a couple of months now, pretty much at the start of the year. So I guess I've almost gone back to the beginning. So I've almost restarted the business.
Yeah. So you're finding your feet as well now, aren't you? New niche market. And you know what's really interesting? BizFit have agreed with you. I don't know. We know Graham quite well, and I don't know if it is Graham that's popping that into the chat box, but it is. Hi, Graham. But Graham, I assume he's agreeing with you, Mike. Nice niche market you're looking to transition to. I think we met previously, and wishes you best of luck with that as well. So super. See, your fans are here. So I know one of the ways you're reaching out is through Clubhouse, and it was kind of one of the things that Nick and I wanted to explore a little bit in more detail this month, because Clubhouse has kind of come a little bit by storm. Some don't know what it is. Some have Android devices, they can't even have it. But Mike, I know you're using Clubhouse and you've had a little bit of a success. And bear in mind, this is very new for lots of people. For those that don't, it's basically a kind of a social networking with audio only is kind of the summary of it. And you go on there and you can either listen in and just be kind of a podcast listener to the conversations that are happening in the room, or you can create a room and actually kind of host it and then get everyone to follow you. You've been doing this, Mike, and how's it worked out for you? Are you enjoying it? I know you've got more sessions set up. I know you said to me, but you know what, David, I'm not really an expert in this. But I said, blimey, at least you're doing it. So how's it working for you?
Yeah. So yeah, so it's really interesting. Like you say, like not everyone knows about it. Like, even though I'm in marketing, I'm not really a fan of social media, because it's you know, I should be doing it more, and that's the thing. So when this extra, you know, another social media platform popped up, you know, we've already got Instagram and even, you know, TikTok, Facebook. There's so many platforms competing for your attention. So when some people kept saying Clubhouse, I was like, oh great, I just can't be bothered. But then it turns out that my target market are quite interested in Clubhouse. So there are quite a lot of dentists on there. So not just like the practitioners, but the actual like associates. So you've got the, you know, dentists that don't necessarily own the practice. They work within the practice and that. So there's people on there. At the moment, it seems to be working quite well from a dentist to dentist perspective. Like, so dentists trying to share information with other dentists. And you've got things like how to grow your practice, that kind of thing. And obviously it's starting to work quite well for B2B, so like marketers going in on the platform to talk to dentists. And what's really good about that is that, from my perspective, is that I can actually reach the decision makers. So, you know, it's most of these sessions for dentists are obviously in the evening when they finish work. So you actually do get your practice owners and your associates on there, because it's like out of hours sort of thing. So that's kind of why I want to use it more. Like David, like you said, I actually hosted a room last week. It was a branding / website room, and it had a couple of people from branding and websites. I had like a very renowned and actually sort of well respected another website agency for dentists. Like, I'd say that the leader, and the agency owner for that company came in. It was actually, so it's really nice for me to meet him as well. And it's quite a nice collaborated tool as well. So just because we're doing the same thing for the same industry, doesn't mean that we can't like collaborate to help the end user.
In summary, Clubhouse, do you enjoy it? Is it worth it? Should we be, joining? I'm on the ecosystem, but not really participating. Should I be putting a bit more effort into it? Should Nick and I be setting up a clubhouse room on there and expanding our reach and audience? And other business owners, of course.
I think the jury's still out as to whether it'll be good or whether it will survive long term. But you've kind of got to think about it. Just think about how how Instagram is now huge, how Facebook grew from small to large, and actually it's an opportunity for all business owners to kind of get in at the early stage, and actually build some really decent followings like organically, before they start bringing ads and stuff in. So I think actually for you two, be perfect really having a room.
That's it. So next we're going to have to try and dominate Clubhouse. We're going to set up a room there, and we're going to do it as an Audible. Maybe we could do Clubhouse at the same time we're running this, live stream as well. We could do both together because we're good at trying to maximise opportunity, multitasking. Now, Mike, before we've got our second guest sitting in the green room, waiting very patiently. So, Joe, we'll be coming to you very, very shortly, and. Mike, I know you're a big lover of Formula One. It's my passion. I love Formula One. I've seen quite a few races live. I've been to many. I'm missing it because obviously we can't travel at the moment. Restrictions are there. Out of interest, what team do you support and what driver?
I'm more about the driver, but I am a huge Hamilton fan.
Good boy. That's what we like to hear.
I'd like to add I'd supported him, before he even joined Formula One. So I'm not just a glory hunter. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan. So when he was at McLaren, I was a McLaren fan, and now he's at Mercedes. I'm a Mercedes fan. Yeah,
so I'm a big follower of Lewis as well. I must say I do like Max Verstappen, and if I had to pick a team, as much as I like Mercedes, I've done work for Red Bull when it went through the transition from Jaguar into Red Bull. So I'm going to have to put my team on Red Bull. And we were talking before we went live this evening, and I was talking about joining Red Bull's live stream the other night, and it was fantastic. Great. And of course, they've had to pivot their business as well and think, well, we can't get there and have the audience come to us. We'll go to the audience, to their front room. There's lots of this happening. So, Mike, one last question. I'm sure Nick's got a couple as well, but bungee jumping. Are you just a crazy nerd, that wants to jump on the highest bridge possible with a bit of knicker elastic around your ankles, or what's all this about? I love.
The interesting thing is that when I was a child, when I was like younger, I was terrified of roller coasters. So I don't know what happened, but yeah, I went to New Zealand I think it's 10 years ago now, and obviously bungee jump. New Zealand is the bungee jumping capital. It's where it was born. So I did one, and then I did two, and now I now say to people I've lost count. I lost count after 25. So yeah, I don't know what happened there. You just get addicted. It's the adrenaline.
I get it. I get my adrenaline from buzzes like that as well. I've not ever done a bungee jump. I free fall and done other various things, and obviously love to drive cars and race and stuff like that. Of course, in a safe environment around a track. So, Mike, absolutely brilliant having you here and being part of the show. Nick, I'm going to leave you with the final question.
Right. Just a quick one. I think we get those Formula One guys on the show, right? All right. You speak passionately about them. Get them on the show. Let's get some conversations going with them. Mike, it's been great, mate. I'm not sure about this bungee jumping thing. It's one of those things that you see other people doing it and it looks amazing, but I'm not sure it's for me. But it does seem to represent that roller coaster that is a modern business, right? The ups and downs of a modern business. And I guess you're just attracted to the thrill and the risk that is associated with running a business especially in these times, right? It's just fascinating to hear how your journey is progressing. And I'm sure at some point we'll get you back on the show and we'll bend your ear about, okay, so what did you learn? What happened with Clubhouse? And thanks, I think it's Graham for the comment saying about Clubhouse. You can't just join, you have to be invited by an existing member, which kind of makes it even more exclusive. Yeah. We've already joined, David, so we should perhaps start using that platform.
We're there, aren't we? We're just not utilising it. But
catch up with Mike. But thanks, Mike. It's been amazing to have you on the show.
Yeah, Mike. Thank you very much. We will catch you soon. You're welcome to sit backstage in the green room if you wish to do so. Of course, if you think you've got something better to do, then we'll catch up with you another day. So thank you, Mike, for joining us on today's show. Give him a huge virtual round of applause. Oh, well, that is exciting stuff, Nick. Wow, what a good start to a show, to, digging a little bit deep and find out why our business has niched and starting during challenging times as well, the pandemic, and certainly moving and growing his business and, becoming a star on Clubhouse as well. Fantastic. What more can I say? What a lovely, charming individual. So, Nick, we are getting close to welcoming our next guest live onto the show. But we were going to talk about a little bit around about what's in the news. And the big thing, kind of what's been sticking out most of this week, is normality, Boris's roadmap. And it'll be really interesting when we bring our next guest on what her opinions are around this as well. But what opinions do our audience have out there? Do you think that this roadmap that Boris has laid out is realistic? Are we going to be able to stick to the minimal times and dates that he's set in the calendar? Normality, in speech marks, is to return by the 21st of June. What does that normality mean? Will we ever return to normality? Is that possible? Have we transitioned as humans in ourselves, the way we shop, the way we meet and greet and work online, work from home? Or are we at that point where things can go back to what we did know? What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think it's in my sense, it's a glimmer of hope, right? That things will start to return to some form of normal. But I think just the word normal has evolved, okay? Because this wouldn't even dreamt of it even 6 months ago, okay? Or attending a Formula One event online, paying good money, and having the stars kind of interact with you. I think there's been a lot of businesses that have kind of evolved into the way things are done now. So it does raise the question: what does normal? Does it even exist? What will it look like? Because I know in the news, right? So if we're talking about Boris, the roadmap, I see in the news that HSBC are slashing, right, 40% of their office space, with a view that they want to move to a more hybrid style of working. Okay, and you were talking about Spotify as well, weren't you?
Yep, Spotify. So they're coming out with work from anywhere. So they've taken it from work from home, work from anywhere. When you're on holiday or something like that, wherever you are, you can work. And, I think Twitter have done a very similar thing. Lots of these more tech-based agencies are allowing people kind of that little bit more freedom. But there was a scenario that, it goes back where we had Richard Branson that turned around and said, have as much holiday as you want. And what he actually found is that people didn't abuse that. They took less holiday than they were taking originally. So, and that was obviously pre-pandemic times. So it's going to be interesting what back to normal is like. I mean, we found this advert. I'll be honest, Nick, I'm going to give you the glory for this one. You found this. Do you remember this? And it was that water cooler moment.
It's a live conversation, but it's in 3D. Right? Who would have thought you could present a virtual TV show wearing your slippers? Right? This is there is no normal anymore. This is just the way things are progressing. Okay,
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to stand up. Look, I'm in shorts and flip flops.
You're just being flash, mate, because you're in Spain.
The point is, when we're working from home, we can look smart up top, and I just proved that I did have something on down below as well. Of course, I could be sitting here.
It's one of those moments that goes viral, right? David gets up and he's got his pants out.
Absolutely. So normality, hopefully, will start to come back. In that road to normality, the Boris's roadmap, we will see it unravel over time. And I hope we can get back to that normality. And, things do kind of unwrap on business returns as best as possible to normality. Otherwise, we're going to be working by this. This was another favourite one I picked out. Zoom call. We've already been here. Zoom call. Take a break. What a great marketing advert that is. The Kit Kat take a break. Love that one. Anyway, Nick, let's go to a quick ad break. And next, we're going to bring on our next guest. Here we go. So, Nick, who do we have coming into the hot seat with us next?
Yeah, very, very excited. Had a conversation with our lovely guest earlier today. I would delighted to welcome the magical Joe Salter onto the show.
Welcome, Joe, but we're going to roll this VC first.
Hello, Joe. How you doing? You're currently muted.
Not anymore. Here I am. Hello. Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Joe Salter from Where Does It Come From? Tell us about yourself, Joe.
Well, I'm not magical. I would love to be magical. It would be amazing to be in Hogwarts or something like that. But no, I'm Joe. I run a brand called Where Does It Come From? I'm absolutely passionate about telling people the stories behind the things that they buy. So the video you just saw was just a few of the people who work to create products for our brand. And we use the most eco-friendly, the most fair trade methods that we can. But the main thing is connecting people with their clothes by sharing all the information.
And that's the unique, I think, I've not heard it anywhere else, aspect around the clothes with a story, or as you say, clothes that tell tales. So tell us a bit more about how does that work? So if I had some of the clothing on right now.
Well, I'm wearing something, bit ad break there. So everything and slippers. Hey! But everything comes with a code. So in the back of this tunic, there's a label. You can scan with your phone a QR code or type the alphanumeric code in, and that tells you the story, where the cotton grew, tells you about the cotton. This is 100% organic cotton. And then you can also see videos and pictures like the ones you just saw of people using really eco processes to make things. So that was hand weaving, block printing. There's no carbon in any of that. That's all really artisanal. And you're also helping them because it's fair trade. So you're helping pay fair wages. And it's Fair Trade Fortnight at the moment. So what better time to be here?
And that's what we did that video for. That was the entry point, wasn't it?
It was indeed. And it sparks a lot of conversations, right, Joe? Fair trade, thinking about eco-friendly, ethical, sustainability, and I think more now than ever, those entrepreneurs, those startup businesses, in their mind will be these questions more so now than ever before. I guess. Yeah. Businesses in the past were about how do I make money, and now businesses of the future will be how do I do things right.
Yeah, and I think that's really changed, hasn't it, in the business world? Whereas it was a bit of a gimmick. You had the body shop doing amazing things, 20, 30 years ago, but that was really out there. People thought that was a quite strange thing to do. But now running a business with ethics is so much the norm that even the big names are starting to jump on the bandwagon and move in those directions. Some more with speech than with action, I would like to say, but there are definitely people doing that. And that is because that's what customers are asking for, and especially younger customers. They don't want something anonymous. They want something where they know that the materials are going to be helping the planet, that the people are going to be treated fairly. And as soon as you start asking those kind of questions, and then that's going to make the demand grow.
Do you think that we're afraid of those questions? Let's say us older business people. What was the term you used for, let's say, an older, more established business that wants to almost retrofit more eco-friendly processes?
Yeah, we call it greenwashing. And that tends to be, and I'm not trying to criticize, because I think recognizing that that's what your customers want is the first step. And I'm all about transparency. I talk about a lot when I'm giving talks about transparency. And by that, that's not like wearing see-through clothes, because I wouldn't like to encourage that kind of behavior particularly, although it's fine if that's what you want to do in the privacy of your own home. But I think it's about knowing all of the information behind that and the impacts of that, of how things are created, the effects on the people, on the planet. And that's not just the making of the garment, that's what's going to happen to it at the end of its life. And that's why we get quite passionate about things like plastic, because if you're wearing clothing that's got polyester in it, that's around forever now, you know. We keep making it and it's around forever. And so transparency is really, really important. And a lot of these brands are starting to recognize that they need to make the right kinds of statements and the right kinds of actions around transparency, but it might only be in a few areas. I was talking to Nick earlier about a very well-known brand who recently put out an advert talking about their more sustainable things. And I said, more sustainable than what?
Absolutely. Now, Joe, you also have fans here putting some messages into the boxes for you. Darren's saying, good to see you on here, Joe.
Hi, Darren. Darren's amazing. Darren does our printing for us. And I'm a right old fusspot, aren't I, Darren? Actually, don't answer that. I always say it's got to be recycled. It's got to be recycled, like recyclable and everything. And he always comes up trumped with that.
He actually, talking to Darren, I was in a chat room with him this morning, and he's come up with the most recyclable version of a business card. It's digital, so there's no print costs. It's it's an electronic. Darren, a bit of a shout out there for you. But if anyone wants a digital business card, have a chat with Darren. Maybe we'll get
And
Darren
recycled.
on the show.
Yeah, do.
Yeah, we'll have him here. And also, just want to flick the story back a little bit to Boris's roadmap. Kay Westrap's popped into the channel. I'll just put it up here. That she worked at HSBC, Canary Wharf, for 5 years, and did 1 day a week working from home, preferably 2 days. And now people are being forced to do that more. Just out of interest, are you working from home? Have you always worked from home? And if you work from home, did you use coffee shops like the rest of us as meeting slots? How has it affected your business, and where do you see that roadmap future going?
More generically first, I think the roadmaps is really interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how that moves forward. But I'm really maybe hoping that we can keep hold of some of the real positives that we've gained over the last year. I know there's been a lot of negatives. We've all had some real difficult times, but the love of nature that we all experienced, the valuing of the things that we've already got, as in not being able to rush to the shops to buy new things, so you can appreciate what you have already in terms of clothing, and other items, of course, as well. And I'm sort of hoping that we quite enjoy working from home, being able to have things like being able to put a load of washing out on the line while doing work and that kind of thing. So I think things have changed, and I sort of hope that we don't get that reliance on having to go into the office, but it has to be down to a personal choice thing. And it's interesting what Kay said there, because you don't want to have to force people to work from home, because if you're living on your own or you haven't got a room to work from, then it's going to be damaging for your mental health. So there has to be a trust element. Businesses do need to be able to trust their employees are working, and people need to be able to go into the office if they need that interaction. So it's important. But for me, yeah, I'm here working from home. I was already working from home. I started the business up when my children were very small, so I've kind of got used to working from home. So it hasn't really changed much for me.
Have they invaded any of your Zoom or Team calls?
Yeah,
famously on the telly from time to time. They've not barged in and say, "Mummy, we need you."
Normally I'm hungry, but to be fair, it's the cat. You might find a cat will jump up. If the cat sees me talking, he likes to sit on the keyboard or something like that. So it's more likely to be the cat. The kids are now, I've got a big curtain which says, "Don't come in when I'm talking."
They're really interesting, that scenario, because I've teed up a little short video. It's about 30 seconds long, and this was pre-pandemic. Some of you have probably seen this video, because it did go viral globally in about 45 minutes after it actually happened. But it was a professor on BBC Live News, Professor Robert Kelly, and this is what happened when he was doing a live interview. It's the equivalent of our streaming today. Here we go. Let's have a quick look at this.
Scandals happen all the time. The question is, how do democracies respond to those scandals?
And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
That's right.
My apologies.
What's this going to mean for the region?
My apologies.
Now, that can happen to any of us at any time. I've got a 4-year-old daughter, and she's always going, Daddy, Daddy, can I come and say hello? And I have to sometimes say, well, no, depend on the call and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course you can. Come and jump in. And have you had anything like that happen to you, Jo?
Not really. My kids are basically terrified. No, they're not terrified. But they're a little bit older. My youngest is 13, so they do understand that I just won't make them any dinner if they interrupt something. But what I particularly like about that one was because it was probably the first time, wasn't it, that we'd seen that directly impact. And the guy, the way he puts his arm down to try and push the child away, it's that kind of in vain, oh my God, what's everyone going to think of me? Whereas I think it made people think really well of him, that he was working and he had this lovely family. I mean, one thing I think that's been really important in lockdown is I feel like I've got to know people that much better, because you're seeing inside their homes and you're seeing their families. And I was having a chat with a customer at one point, and we were going through the technicalities of a product design together. And the next thing, she shrieked, and her young child had come in behind her without me seeing and climbed up the back of a cupboard to try and get a packet of biscuits out. And she just turned around and saw this thing clinging onto the front of a cupboard. And this is what happens. We've built a bigger relationship. You don't have that same facade. We've kind of opened up our whole personality to people.
I think it was amazing, right? It gave us all permission to just relax a little bit, be a bit more authentic. And that's key in your business, Jo, right? So the reason you have printing that has to be recycled, has to tick all the boxes, is because authenticity, massively important in business. I think the more of that, the better. I think it would be a shame if we lost all of these positives that I'm driving. A lot of new businesses will be driven on the fact that it doesn't matter where I am. I don't need an office anymore. I can run a business from my front room if I need to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're so right about authenticity. I mean, that's one thing. You have to be honest about what you're doing, and nobody is perfect. It's a journey, isn't it? So you're starting off with a goal. So if you're starting up a new business, I mean, I started my business in 2013, but if you're starting up a new business, you want to have an aim of where you want to get to, a roadmap of where you want to get to, like Boris, and then you kind of want to have steps along the way, but be really honest. Don't pretend that you're trying to do something you're not. You know, if your work in my area, you might start with plastic buttons or something, and then as you get further along the journey, you can move across to something biodegradable. But tell people what you're doing. I think it's really important, and then they understand how committed you are.
Yeah, I think that openness is here to stay, hopefully, and I'm sure new businesses, new entrepreneurs, certainly with a much kind of clearer view on who they are, what they want, let's say, from the planet, I think will be far more open, and their clients will expect them to be open as well. Hopefully, the days of keeping things very closed behind, sealed doors will become less and less prevalent.
Well, I think there was almost a culture, wasn't there, that the business was different from the person. So it was two completely separate things. So businesses could get away with things, and they'd say, well, that's just business. It's nothing personal. Remember that phrase? It's nothing personal. This is business. We can take you to the cleaners. We can make your business go under. We can do all these things. We can just think about the bottom line, because this business, it's not personal at all. But now we think much more. I think much more, and I believe a growing number of people think much more about the people that it was affected, and the planet, obviously, as well. So they're very interconnected. So by looking very hard at your business and the impacts that it's making on the environment, on the workers, on biodiversity, you're actually having a much bigger positive gain, I would say. So we call it triple bottom line. So it's not just profits; it's people and planet as well.
I've got to post this onto the screen here. Kay's come back with a fantastic one. If we call our kids and animals our colleagues, it changes the dynamic. Yeah, absolutely. Love that, Kay. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, loving the interaction from the audience. The whole plan for the show, right, was conversations involving as many people as possible, and anything we say hopefully just sparks a longer and more detailed conversation. So, Jo, what's the proudest achievement you have in your business. You seem to have been and done most things, and it's amazing to read the sort of things that you've achieved. What's your proudest moment? Tell us about it.
I haven't bungee jumped. I'll just say that I don't fancy bungee jumping. Mike can keep that one. No, I think the proudest moment. It's funny, isn't it, how when you've run a business for quite a lot of years, the proudest moment can just be a small thing. But I think it was when this is a bit of a name drop. Sorry, the lovely Joanna Lumley wore one of our scarves on her TV show. She did a documentary in, I think it's 2017 or 18. Joanna Lumley's India. And she wore one of our elephant scarves when she went out with elephants, and it was just. So like, oh my God, they sent us a message to say that she was going to do it. And she had this outfit where she was in kind of safari coloured clothes, khaki, and she had this blue elephant scarf on, and she was swishing it over her shoulder and going out there hunting for real elephants. Not hunting as in a bad way, but like with cameras. Trekking, that's probably the better word, isn't it? And she wore this scarf. It was great. So we sold out of that design straight away, but we have 3 elephants. If anyone wants an elephant scarf, we still have elephant scarves. But they're it's a beautiful scarf as well, because I think that's what she liked about it, because it was completely handmade. So the cotton is hand woven, hand spun, hand dyed, and then the elephant's printing is on that, like on that video, the guy block printing on the elephants on there. So it is a really special scarf. But it felt like such a big pat on the back, that someone that I admire like that had appreciated what we were doing.
And Joe, also the price of your elephant scarves have just gone up.
They have, yeah, now 700. No, I'm joking. 30 quid. 30 quid to you.
I put your website on the screen for everybody to see, so they can come along and find out more about Joe and about your elephant scarves and everything you're doing to make, well, like we all try to do, to make the world a better place. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on the show, certainly for our promo, our pilot, our first live show. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I think we owe you a huge thank you and a virtual round of applause. Virtual, because
thank you for having me.
You can't hear me clapping as loud, but I know everyone out there will also be rooting for you, and it'd be great to maybe pick up on your journey in the future. Maybe we'll get you back on the show and hear about how the world is changing and the things that you're doing is making a difference.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming along.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Joe. We'll see you soon. You can sit back in the room if you like. See you soon. Bye-bye. Well, Nick, there we go. We are coming close, very close to the end of our first show. It's been exciting. We've had Mike Hennan and we've had Joe Salter as our guest this week. We've got more guests lined up for the following weeks to come. Remember, we're going to be back here every Thursday, 4 o'clock till 5 p.m. And we'll be just talking about this, that, and anything. But if you've got anything that you want us to look into, do a bit of research, share with our listeners, our viewers, our audience. We'd love your comments. Keep them coming in the chat box. Remember, you can also email us as well and reach out to us and tell us more about your business, why you think you should be coming onto the show and sharing what you do. So if you want to get in touch, you can I'm going to find the right little banner to pop up here, but you can email us at hello@uni.co.uk. Nick, I'm going to leave you with the final words to send us out of our first ever live episode.
Thank you very much.
All our listeners.
Well, the plan was we'd have conversations, right, which we certainly have. We'd have interactions with the audience, which we certainly have. We have some fun. Okay, not going to do it if it's not fun. We've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from yourself, of course, from Mike, from Joe. And I think hopefully our audience, entrepreneurs, new businesses, old businesses, will learn a few lessons from them too. So I'm incredibly excited already for next week's show. I know we've got some really, really cool guests lined up. So it's from me and from you. Bring on the fun.
Yeah, good night all. Stay safe and we'll see you in a week's time. Bye-bye.